What is up, folks? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another React. The hot topic out there right now is, do you want a job in esports? You might just need a certificate in order to do so. It's the Esports Certificate, to which tons of people were talking about all around yesterday, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about this in the future. Lots of prominent names giving their responses, so many as to so. We can't read them all off. We're going to put them on screen for you guys. We had Nadeshot, we had HECZ, we had Sjokz, we had Ender, we had the head of ops for, I believe, Chicago, or Optic Chicago, NRG, and many others in that list. If you guys were on Twitter yesterday, you probably saw some of these tweets for the Esports Certificate. The big old pointer out that a lot of people pointed out was the $400 fee to take the exam, and then we get even hairier as we had some people reveal questions that were also on the exam. If you guys don't mind, before we get the initial responses, I just want to read off maybe one or two of these. Your marketing team is experimenting with creating a soft drink. The ratio by volume of flavoring to sugar to water in the drink is 1 to 5 to 25. Oh, frick, I'm already lost. The soft drink will be altered so that the ratio of flavoring to sugar is halved, while the ratio of sugar to water is doubled. If the final drink contains 4 ounces of sugar, how many ounces of water will it contain? I'm not going to even ask you guys for your answer. A Valorant player reports the following kills from their matches: 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 21, the list goes on. What is the value of the third quartile of the data set? And there are many questions. Maybe we'll post some more images for you guys. Give me your first thoughts, because I think by far majority of the responses were no.
It's just kind of strange. I mean, like you said, the two different things were A, the $400 price point. That's a big deal. And B, it would be one thing if it was just $400, but then people read the test and were like, oh, like this actually is a good test. And like, feels like it's really going to like qualify people for esports in some sense, or like get a base level of knowledge in the industry. But then the questions were bad too. So it's like, what are we paying $400 for to begin with?
Yeah, and it's they're in an impossible position, because if you look at the test is basically each chapter is for a completely different job in esports. And there's very few things that relate to say it's like, how do you want to be an esports sales rep? How do you want to be like an esports marketer?
Yeah.
And they're all trying to jam this together, which isn't very helpful if you're trying to be, say, an esports caster, or you want to do like a bunch of like CSGO analytics research. But then for the exam guide, which they're also, technically it's free, but it's one of those pay what you want, so everyone throw them a few dollars for it. If you read through the exam guidebook, it's horrible. It has stuff like, big shooter titles in esports like Tomb Raider, because everyone remembers the huge Tomb Raider meta that was blowing up esports, like RIP Tomb Raider meta. And the big Wolfenstein 3D meta that was like taking the world by storm. But then you have to also, you got to read through these questions. If you do, you will pass the exam, because the exam is literally basic, mid-high school level statistics and math, and then this exact thing was in the exam guide.
I definitely would not have passed the math.
That's true, but you exist in a corn-based system of knowledge and economy.
Yeah, I mean, if you read through the questions that are put out there, you read through the study guide, it is clear to me that there was... I would like to think that all of the prominent names attached to this project probably didn't have a lot of hands on the questions and things that have been put out there thus far. I just want to say that this is likely a good thing, but a lot of the execution was very, very poor. There are still some very well-known names attached to this, and in terms of the board members and others as well. I think the execution was done very, very poorly, and this can actually be a good thing. But yeah, a lot of the things you have mentioned the $400 alone. This is something that's actually trying to increase diversity, increase inclusion. And in doing this, does this actually combat the frauds and the fakes on LinkedIn who claim to be esports experts when they probably can afford this more than the average person?
Yeah, if anything, this opens the door to more of them. Because like I said, the test, if you take the exam guide, does not appear to be very hard at all. However, that said, it's such a wide net they're casting that there's probably a lot of people in esports that couldn't pass this test without looking through the exam guide. So basically, it makes it hard if you have esports knowledge, because, why would a professional Rocket League caster know anything about merchandising analytics?
Or Valorant.
Or Valorant, the third quartile of a Valorant game. Why they don't need to know that. It's not job specific. This test should have been about 7 different separate tests for 7 different separate roles. But because they tried to like merge it all together to make some sort of weird, like, I'm a caster, merchandiser, sales rep, operations manager, esports guy, like that role doesn't exist. So it's not helpful. It's just an obstacle to put in the way of people that might want to get in and can't afford to do it. But also, it's a great way for, you know, frauds and fakes. Spend $400, do a little studying, and just get this exam that might mean something.
Yeah, and we saw people like HECZ coming out and saying, hey, by the way, I still handpick all my people inside of optics. So that was pretty cool to see. I think a lot of people are of that same notion. But yeah, it's also kind of just, who is this supposed to attune to? It's so broad. Who is this supposed to help? And then you got to imagine the intricacy if you all of a sudden do have not just one test, but you have 5 tests. I mean, that
Right.
God, the metrics there, I don't even want to know how confusing that could get.
I think it certainly would not have helped. I don't know about you, but it would not have helped me get this job in any way, shape, or form. Like I'm just imagining me working. I was a video editor before this, so like working my other job, and then say I'm applying for esports industry jobs, and I have to pay $400 to get a certification from a test that isn't necessarily going to guarantee me the job to begin with, but I know in my head, hey, hirers need this test, this certification. Like if I don't have this and like other applicants are going to have the edge on me, then like I'm probably not even going to do, I'm not going to do it. I might not apply. Like who knows? Like it is a huge barrier, and $400 is a lot to take a test. Like comparing it to other standardized tests, I know they're probably in their head wanting to compare it to like law exams and stuff like that, which do cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it still seems kind of ridiculous of a price point. Like, I don't know, why is it $400?
Yeah, we don't know the details of what kind of cost this is for them. You know, some people think $400 is, well, it's worth it, but there's no guarantee that this is going to get you a job. Some people compare that to the fact there are esports degrees out there costing thousands of dollars, to which we go, we never recommended you get an esports degree either.
Right.
And yeah, people somehow think that, you know, we're very wealthy, which is not the case whatsoever. I can't tell you the last time I spent $400 on anything. Like,
yeah, and as mentioned before, like these two can't even afford freaking pants.
I mean, look, we're
It gets
getting
shorter
skinnier.
every
We're getting,
time.
yeah, freaking everything's shrinking on me. I don't even know if the camera can see my thighs right now. But I don't even know how to conclude this, because it's a very tricky situation, like you said, because is there a resolve? Is there an actual, is there a way to kind of fix this? You know, can you make it cheaper? Can you make it less broad? Can you really make this something the industry can use? I think so, but at the same time, I have nothing to recommend at this point. I don't know how you fix this.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I can think of is like I said earlier, if you made this into like 6 or 7 different exams tailored to different roles, maybe you charge $200, which is what people like me have to pay for our stupid, like, all the like Adobe certification crap I have and all the other, like, that's a little more in line with that sort of a certification in the industry. And it's also more helpful for both people trying to get into the industry and more helpful for people looking to hire, because it's this is a very specialized industry. There's not a lot of people that have there's not a lot of people that would know, besides like maybe orgs like the HECZs and the Nades of the world, about things like the analytics that go into merchandising, like the ratios you want to look for on your merch, stuff like, you know, what kind of flavoring do you want in your, like, your branded drinks,
What ratio for your soft
and
drinks?
also anything about the esports games themselves. So to break it up into like 5 different exams, and that lets it be a little more tailored, maybe get a little more input from people that know those roles better, maybe gives you a better test and a more useful test, and also becomes more of a way to get into the industry instead of a barrier for people that might not be able to afford or get any value out of this $400 investment.
Yeah, I think we've just seen so many people come into the industry that had no prior knowledge, that have, you know, garnered that knowledge through the experience they've had, and they didn't have that initial little barrier that they needed to even get the job. But we've seen how much they've progressed as social media managers or casters or co-hosts, whatever it might be. And so I think it was actually Aaron make a great point. We need to think about how to make the current people who actually have jobs, who are getting jobs, more long-term, as opposed to trying to get so many more people into esports. Obviously, we understand where the esports certificate is coming from. It needs some pretty big adjustments, and that was just a general gist of things we saw on social media yesterday. So what do you guys think about the esports certificate? Will you be getting one? What can they do to fix it? What do you think about the $400 just to take the exam? And we'll catch you guys back here next time. Until then, take care of yourselves.